Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk here with another white box, and basically white boxes mean typically just one thing, and that is a new device. This one being the HTC One Mini 2. Doing a quick, well, I guess semi-unboxing video because it is obviously non-retail, and this is a early review unit. But we have the handset here, which we will come back to in just a moment. Also in the box we have a European style charger, which I won't bother to unpack. The standard headphones that we've seen on many other devices, which basically look like this: 4-pole 3.5mm jack with an inline microphone and push button, and HTC branded red in-ear style headphones. And then last of all in there, again, I won't bother to unpack it, but it's a micro USB to USB sync charge cable. All straightforward stuff. Pretty much what you will get with the retail, but clearly we've got a white box product which is gone out to the out to reviewers like ourselves. So let's just move that out of the way. So to the handset itself, you basically could be forgiven for thinking that this is an HTC One M8. Certainly a distance and without a frame of reference for the size. It does look very much like the One M8, styled very much the same way. There are a couple of sort of styling exceptions which come to in a moment. So on the front we have a 4.5-inch display. It is a Super LCD2 display. It's 720 by 1280 pixels, so it's a 720p display basically. As I say, 4.5 inches, which is a little smaller than the 5-inch display on the M8 itself. At the top there we have the forward-facing 5-megapixel autofocus camera. Is the selfie cam that is on the M8, so it's the same sort of 5-megapixel shooter, so it's fairly wide angle. Notification LEDs on the side. We have the large boom sound, or larger boom sound speakers on the front as well, so we do have the stereo speakers. That's continued through the range. On this side all we have is this little cover which we will pop open, and on this side we have the that's the nano SIM card tray on that side, and we'll pop that back in. But that's all we do have on the left hand side. On the bottom we really only have the micro USB sync charge cable connector there. To the right hand side we have the up and down volume control, and we have the other tray, which again I will just eject, which is for the micro SD memory card. Now that will support up to 128 gig micro SD cards as well, so that's pretty cool. So we can expand our storage to quite a significant point. On the top we have a 3.5mm headphone socket and the power button itself. And as a sort of departure from the M8, we don't have the infrared transmitter or IR blaster on the top of the Mini 2. It's a bit of a shame really. That's one of the features I use quite a bit and enjoy using, is the infrared blaster, but that's not on the Mini 2. On the back we have a 13-megapixel autofocus camera and LED flash. This is a for want of a better way of putting it, it's a standard 13-megapixel camera. It's not ultra pixel. It's obviously missing the duo cam from the M8, but it's still apparently, we will test it, but it's still apparently a fairly decent 13-megapixel camera, and as I say, it has to have the LED flash next to it as well. We'll do some testing, but just sort of styling wise it looks the same or very similar to the M8, with the exception obviously of the missing duo cam. There's a little hole there as well on the side, which I believe to be an additional microphone. The other microphone the main microphone is tucked actually in this grill here, just inside. There isn't, as you can see, there's no removable cover on the back, so it has a non-user replaceable battery, but the battery is a 2100 milliamp hour, so it's designed for a fair amount of endurance. We have the metal grey version here. It is available in gold, amber gold, and the Arctic silver, I think the other colour is called. The same as the M8. We're starting obviously with the metal. Slight difference in terms of design. I mean, very similar in overall look, but the metal does not continue all the way around to the front on the Mini 2. We do have a little bit of plastic around the edges, which I'll just bring the M8. On the M8, the actual metal continues all the way around here, as you can see here. Continues all the way around, right the way around the edges, and wraps right the way around to the edge of the screen on the M8, but it does not do the same on the Mini 2. However, that said, the Mini 2 does have a significant amount of metal in its chassis there and its unibody. It's just not quite as much as the M8. Let's see if we've got some power. There we go. We do have the HTC Sense 6 user interface on here, albeit that we do have a slightly smaller screen and slightly lower resolution to display that. I've no need to wait for it to power up because obviously we are already switched on. So specification, well, dimensions 137mm top to bottom. We are 65mm wide and 10.6mm thick. Now 10.6mm sounds like a thick device, but obviously because of the styling, that really contoured finish to it, and the edges certainly being very similar to the M8, it certainly doesn't feel anything like being a chunky device, and the all metal back on it does also make it feel quite sleek and quite easy to hold in hand. 137 grams in weight. As I say, the 4.5 inch display is Super LCD2, 720p, so 720 by 1280 pixels. Processor wise, we have a quad core 1.2 GHz processor, which we will obviously want to see how that performs later on. There's 16 gig of internal ROM for storage. I'm not sure how much is available, we'll look at that later as well. And 1 GB of RAM. We also have Android OS 4.4.2. The cameras are capable of 1080p video recording at up to 30 frames a second on both the front and the rear, so we can do full HD video recording on both. Wi-Fi, supporting 802.11b GN standards with dual band DLNA and Wi-Fi hotspot nodes. Bluetooth 4.0 with A2DP and NFC. Also included the USB supporting MHL and USB host, and it is 2.0. That covers kind of most of it. There's an FM radio, I guess we should mention that. That's important for some people, and a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 is the chipset. So I think that covers the most of the basics there. Just to take a quick look at the around the UI, we've seen it. It's basically exactly the same as the M8. So we have our blink feed. We have our main sort of uncustomized screen here, which we haven't changed this yet. So we have the time, the Google search, our Google applications in the folder here, which we can obviously change and move. We have the Play Store, and then we have a blank panel, which we can add additional panels to the home screen to add additional icons and widgets and so forth. In terms of installed applications, pretty straightforward. We've got the HTC guide, there's a kid mode, Twitter, productivity, other kind of bits and pieces, and key VPN. Pretty straightforward in terms of the loadout on applications, nothing too out of the ordinary. There's a flashlight, there's a voice recorder, there's the HTC backup, then there's the HTC apps, and a few other bits and pieces. But it's all fairly typical. We'll take a quick look at the camera, and there we go. So camera wise, there we go. So we've got, okay, so really quick to respond to the shutter release there for taking a snap. Let's go. How close can we go? Macro mode, pretty close. So yeah, responding very quickly to that shutter release. We've got auto flash in the corner, and we can turn that to on, forced off. Then we have the different shooting modes. So auto at the moment, and then we can change that around to different scene selections. Change the ISO settings. the exposure, auto white balance, the different effects, so we can go for this kind of cool dotty effect, or a mono sepia types, country, vintage, all that kind of stuff, as sort of real-time inline effects. There we go. So back to auto, and then we've got the main settings, so we can change the crop, the resolution. There we are in full res at the moment. And we can change grid view, self timer, continuous shooting, camera options, the volume button options, save custom cameras and things like that. It's pretty much the same as we saw when we have on the M8, where we have the different modes, and we've got the selfie mode, which is not too exciting, certainly not for me, but we have that there as well. And it's a wide angle selfie camera. So just take a quick look at the shots that we have taken just there. So you can see our macro mode didn't do too bad a job. Got quite close up and quite a bit of detail there. And the other shots aren't bad. I mean, obviously not a great deal of colour in there, and we really will want to take this outside and also try in low light and other conditions to really get the idea of it. But yeah, it's not bad. It's obviously a 30 megapixel camera. It's picking out quite a bit of detail there in obviously the backdrop that we've got at that distance, and you can see the weave of the backdrop. And the compression doesn't look bad. It's I've seen worse for sure. There's a little bit of jaggy around the edges, perhaps a little bit of over sharpening in there, but we could probably play those settings a little bit anyway. But that's what we got in terms of the quick couple of quick shots that we've taken. Not bad. Let's put that out of the way. In terms of other stuff, we can obviously do the pull down at the top. We've got notification area, and also we've got all the different quick settings, so we can change brightness and turn the Wi-Fi on and off, go into settings, auto rotate, Bluetooth, airplane mode, power save, and we can change these as well. We can customize these if these tiles aren't to our satisfaction. We can alter those by going into here, and we can change from the list of quick settings should we wish to. We will just pop into settings and take quickly in the about, and we can see our software information. So we are 4.4.2 Android Sense, HTC Sense 6.0, and you can see our model number there and the API level. And finally, let's take a quick look at storage. You can see, okay, on our base model, which has nothing else installed, taking a couple of photos, which is negligible. Our base installation is 5.68 gig, so allowing just under 11 gig of user storage available. So 11 gig straight off the bat when you first set it up and get going and use it. So it's quite a big amount taken up by the ROM itself and the various pre-installed HTC applications. But nevertheless, 11 gig free, and we can put in up to a 64 gig micro SD memory card to supplement that memory. So there we go. That's a reasonably quick look. Oh, actually, before I get carried away, size wise, so the M8, let's put it down on the table there. Size wise to the M8, it's a little thicker. It's a little thicker than the M8, maybe about a millimetre or so in it, which is noticeable when you put them both on a flat surface. The Mini 2 does stick out on that just that little bit more, sits up a little higher than the M8, so a little thicker. Obviously we're shorter and we are indeed narrower. Personally, I don't think there's a great deal in it. I mean, sure, it's a smaller handset, but for me a mini handset should be, in my mind, a significant reduction in size. I think making a choice between those two, given that if your only sort of difference or your only criteria is the size, I would go for the M8, because I don't think you're saving a great deal. It's a little heavier, but you've got a bigger screen. You do have a 1080p screen versus 720. You have the camera features, you have the IR blaster, you have the dot view case. But if size is an important thing to you, and you know, you are happy to take the slight reduction, or well, fairly significant reduction really, I suppose, in terms of specification, you've got the 1.2 GHz processor, you've only got 1 gig of RAM, then the One Mini 2 may indeed float your boat. And looking at them both on the back, as I say, I personally feel it's not enough smaller physically for me to really consider, even contemplate having two of them, or you know, switching between them just for space saving. You know, I'm very, very fond of the M8. I think it's a fantastic phone. But there we go. So there we go. That's the HTC One Mini 2. We will have a review for you up very soon. We'll do some benchmark tests, some other bits and pieces, and more in-depth analysis of the phone over the coming weeks. And I'll be using it alongside the HTC One M8 for a while as well. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on Twitter, please do so. It's Twitter. We are at TracyMatt, at TracyAndMatt. Facebook.com/TracyMatt.co.uk. On Google Plus, you can find me plus Matt Davis 1. That's MattDavis and the number 1. On YouTube, you can see all of our videos. Our channel name is Leod, Leodee. Those details are on the intro and the outro slide of this video. And I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on TracyAndMatt.co.uk. But for now, thanks for watching.